Welcome to the Field Gulls podcast. I'm Brandan Schulze, and joining me to talk about the 27-10 victory over the Arizona Cardinals is NorbCam from NorbCam. Norb, how you doing?
Oh man, I'm feeling good. As you can see, I'm still in my fresh war paint. Just came from a viewing party with a bunch of people, a bunch of 12s watching this game, and I'm still glowing from the high. So yeah, and I'm feeling great. It's an awesome day for being a Seahawks fan for sure.
Yes.
We needed this victory.
Needed the victory. They get the 2-0 start on the road in September, something they haven't done since 2013. We all know that was a pretty good year for the Seahawks. And not only are they 3-1 to start the season and getting a win over a division rival, but we look over and see what the Rams are doing against the Bucks, and they fall to the Tampa Bay Bucks. So 1 week after the Seahawks lose at home to an NFC South team, the Rams are losing at home to an NFC South team. And so now it just makes last week, it doesn't feel so bad anymore.
Yeah, no, for sure. In a lot of ways, I think the Rams losing to the Bucks unexpectedly was just the cherry on top. But for us, it was really about the Seahawks just not shooting themselves in the foot for the first time. Because I felt like every game we've played, we've kind of barely won and then lost to the Saints. And it felt like in all three games, we just kept doing things to ourselves that preventing ourselves from playing better football that we know we're capable of. So for the first time, we weren't getting all these negative plays. We weren't turning the ball over or giving up cheap touchdowns on field goal punts. Punts, and just playing less mistakes. And when we do that, you see what we're capable of. Because Russell is like, he's just been even keeled the whole time, playing great. It's just everything around him has been just like short circuiting. So finally, everybody else plays great. Running game gets good. Carson doesn't fumble. All of a sudden, it's like, hey, we got a great ship here. We just have to all be on the same page. So it felt like our first, I wouldn't say complete game, but it was our first game where we didn't make more mistakes than good things. So. Yeah. That was awesome to see. 27
Not quite the complete game because it was in that third quarter where they kind of had a little bit of a lull. And if you are tuning into this for just the first time, be sure and subscribe to the show. You can go to sbnation.com/NFL podcasts. And you mentioned Russell Wilson, Norb. He goes 22 of 28. 240 yards passing. He has the one touchdown to Will Dissly. Another Will Dissly touchdown. The dude's a touchdown machine. Yeah. You mentioned Chris Carson, 22 carries, 104 yards, and the key thing, no fumbles.
Yeah, that was huge. And I think it's not just that he got over 100 yards, but if you have to actually look beyond the box score and watch how he ran. It was the yards after contact that was the most impressive to me, because he'd be hit for like a 3-yard gain and he'd power ahead for like another 5 yards, or he'd be stopped short of the sticks, and then he'd bulldoze a guy over and get another 5, 6, 7 yards and get the first down. Those are the plays that not only show up as first down runs and yards, but it's the psychological, I think, part for the team, just feeling like, just seeing him power over and kind of go beast mode on some guys. And that just, I'm sure for the team themselves, especially a team that's built to run block, I'm sure that just gets the O-line just excited and that much more charged up to see the running backs, doing stuff on their own. They make the holes in the creases and the running back takes it to the next level. And that's just fun. That's demoralizing to the opponent when they get bowled over like that. So yeah, they totally stuck it to them, especially in that last drive to seal the game with the touchdown to Prosise. I mean, that they just basically commanded the game and ate the clock away and then finished it with a touchdown. It couldn't be any better than that.
Yeah, that was a key drive really to help end the game in the fourth quarter, because to start the fourth quarter, early on, the Cardinals get the ball with about 13 and a half minutes to go. They drive down the field. There's a defensive holding penalty on Trey Flowers. There's a penalty on Tedrick Thompson for unnecessary roughness that sets them up at the 15-yard line. And Kyler Murray gets in for the 9-yard score. And so the Cardinals are able to kind of climb back in it. They're within 10 points there with just about a little over 10 and a half minutes to go. And you wonder if the Seahawks get the ball back, are they going to be able to sustain a drive to help put the game away? Or you're starting to worry, man, if they turn the ball over here and give the Cardinals a short field, this is a chance for them to get right back in it. But they take the drive nearly 8 minutes off the clock. And yes, Carson just punishing guys down the field ultimately ends with a CJ Prosise 9-yard run for a touchdown.
Yeah, I was talking to the gal next to me saying, okay, who should get the touchdown? Should be Russell, should be Carson, should be DK, should be Lockett. Named pretty much everybody on the team except for CJ Prosise, and he comes out being the guy to score that ceiling touchdown. Which is great too, because Prosise has been kind of one of those funny stories of a guy who he seemed like the cat with 9 lives who just never went on the field. He was just managed to somehow stay on the roster even though you never saw him play, and it felt like even this year they gave up cut J.D. McKissick and kept Prosise, and a lot of people I know are wondering, why would you keep this guy who can never play? And so it's nice to see him not only contributing but making key plays on the most crucial of downs, and on a play like that to score the touchdown. And I think it's great because Prosise has been a player that, when healthy, he's done some great things. It's just we've never seen him healthy for more than a few games. So to see him now starting the season off where he stepped in when Rashad Penny's now the one who's injured, that he's filling in nicely and doing some things, as a nice number 2 backup or number 2 back with Carson leading the way. So, it's great that we have that depth at running back, because, man, if Penny was out like he is and we didn't have somebody else you felt like you could rely on, it'd be like, man, that'd be a tough situation from the running back side. So it was great to see Prosise getting some action in there and scoring a touchdown.
It did feel like he kind of stole the touchdown from Carson, because it was, the Seahawks had the ball 1st and 2, and Carson gets into the end zone, but it comes back from the Will Dissly holding call. And fortunately, they're still able to get the touchdown there. But, it kind of felt like, just the cherry on top of the day if Carson could have got that touchdown.
It would have been nice. But at this point, I think, kind of like Russ was saying, he doesn't really care who gets the glory, who gets the stat, as long as the team wins. And I think, Carson to me doesn't seem like a guy who really cares too much about that, so it's nice to see that there's guys who are just, that's the team situation. You don't have divas being selfish, like, that should be my ball, give me my ball, so it's nice when in the world of lots of Antonio Browns out there, it's nice to see a bunch of guys who seem pretty humble and just happy to just help their team win. And
absolutely,
it's nice that we don't have those types of guys on this team right now. So it's pretty cool.
And one of the cool things about this game, Norb, is this was a game that the Seahawks were able to get out to a quick start. They held the Cardinals to a field goal on their first drive. Gonzalez misses it wide right, and the team gets the ball back. They're able to drive down inside the red zone. Now they're not able to come away with points like they've been so good at this year. There was one play to DK Metcalf where it looked like, I couldn't tell if Metcalf dropped the ball, but it looked like Russell just dropped the ball just perfectly into him. And maybe the defender made a good play, but I never saw a good replay on that.
I did see a replay or two. It felt like he just kind of closed his hands a little early, and it was definitely catchable. I think he should have had that ball, and he just sort of closed on it, and it just bounced out, and he couldn't quite pull it in. So I would probably call that a drop, even though it was a challenged. It wasn't like an easy catch, but He was definitely being challenged. But it was certainly catchable, and I'm sure if he could have had that back, he knew he had a touchdown waiting in the wings there for him. So unfortunately, it didn't matter in the scope of things, but I'm sure he would like to get that play back, because that would have been an easy touchdown for him.
Yeah, I would have felt personally better with the Seahawks scoring 30 points rather than in the 20s, but we can't be picky when it's a 17-point win over a division rival. But the Seahawks, they get the field goal. Arizona gets the ball back. They complete a short little pass to David Johnson, who had a huge day. But then Murray tries to go back to Johnson again, and it's picked off by Jadeveon Clowney, and he goes in for a 27-yard pick six.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was the signature moment we were, I think, all waiting for from Clowney since we got him in the offseason. There's so much hype and expectation about this guy's going to be great. He's going to sack on every play. And, and I think sometimes the expectations are a little higher than reality. And so when he didn't come out doing something spectacular in the first game or the second game, his presence was there, but he didn't do that signature play. We were all waiting for that to happen. And finally, I think we got it today. Unfortunately, it didn't happen at home, but hey, we'll take it on the road. And this is almost like a home away from home as far as Arizona is concerned. So to have him read that play, and I think so many teams have been running screens on us. I think they finally figured out you got to get your hands up and, just feel that, when the screen starts to develop, put your hands up there and just try to break things up. And he tried to float it over the top of him, and he just knocked it down, knocked it to himself, and then put on the afterburners with some pretty impressive speed. He took it down the sideline and scored pick six. And, didn't expect that to be his first signature play, but heck, that's his first interception, if I'm not or interception for a touchdown. That's his first in his career, if I'm not mistaken. So why not in the Seahawks jersey? So that was a pretty amazing, at that point, the play of the game for us, just to put us on top like that early in the game. We've been needing a play like that just to get that feeling of being on top and having a bit of a lead instead of always coming back from behind, having to find a way to score and catch up to a game. So it was nice. It was a great play. Great for him, great for Clowney, and great for Seattle, because we're so much better winning percentage wise when we have a lead. I don't know the stats on it, but it's something like when we get 2-score leads over somebody, it's like almost our winning percentage practically, odds are doubled, when we have a 2-score lead. But usually it never happens. We're always right there, either behind or slightly barely ahead. So it was nice to have even a 10-point lead. It was a nice feeling.
Well, it doesn't even have to be a 2-score lead. There's a stat that out there. It's if the Seahawks are leading by more than 4 points at halftime, they are, I think it's 55 or 56-0 under Pete Carroll.
Yeah, that's
something ridiculous.
Yeah, so you never need much. It's just amazing how many times we don't have the lead, because you'd think 4 points, that should be easy to get, but not with our team. Nope, we got to always make it exciting to the fourth quarter, so yeah, it's
not before halftime for sure. But yeah, they were up big before halftime in this game, because Arizona, they get the ball back in the second quarter. They're able to, Gonzalez is actually able to kick a field goal in this game from 33 yards. But the Seahawks get back, drive down the field, and as we mentioned before, Will Dissly, the one with that scores on Russell Wilson's lone touchdown pass in this game. And I have to keep going back to it. Will Dissly inside the red zone, he's like the guy I think that we wanted Jimmy Graham to be when he was here.
Yeah. Jimmy Graham eventually kind of became that guy, but it just took so long. And again, the expectations were like Clowney. We expect him to come here and score a touchdown in every reception.
Right.
So anytime he didn't, it felt like, oh, what are we paying all this money? We gave up Unger for this. And so it took what felt like an eternity for him to finally start to score some. And then, of course, he got injured. In this case, Dissly came in. Everyone's expecting him just to be a run blocker. So the fact that he came in, started having these receptions, and then he gets hurt, everybody kind of forgets about him. Then he comes back in. And I'm going, hey, we're getting Will Dissly back. It's like getting a free player, that we forgot all about, and he comes in here and he becomes Russell Wilson's favorite target, and he's been lights out. So what's great about that is that Dissly now becoming this, kind of this seam, this guy who runs down, the seam, often forgotten. They're gonna have to start paying attention to him, and what that means is they're gonna have linebackers having to chase him down. That's going to open up a lot of stuff in the middle for DK and for Lockett. So when one guy starts drawing attention that you're not expecting to, it means great things for everybody else. So, it's keep feeding them until they finally figure out how to stop him, and then go to everybody else. That's kind of how it works. You take what they give you, take advantage of their adjustments. So, but Russell Wilson, man, I can't say enough about how this guy has just been getting better every single year, and almost to a point where it's so expected that you kind of, you kind of forget about talking about it, because he's so good every week that it's kind of like, Russell Wilson had 114, passer rating and a touchdown, no interceptions, as if that's like another day at the office. And, and instead it's like, he's just consistent. He's not going to be like Patrick Mahomes throwing for 350 yards and lighting it up with breaking records. He's just going to be steady, and not turn the ball over. And that's really perfectly designed for this team, because this team's about running the ball, playing good defense. And as long as Russell Wilson just continues to move the ball, be efficient, move the chains, that's the winning formula. And today they had all that going for him.
Yeah, well, let's give Russell Wilson some of his due credit for this game, because if somebody's just going to look at the box score, they're going to see, okay, Russell Wilson, he had 240 yards passing, 22 completions. And then the interesting thing is Kyler Murray, also 22 completions for 241 yards. Both of them take 4 sacks. But the way that both of these quarterbacks got to these numbers, very different. Russell Wilson, it's not just hitting those short passes. He was going down the field he hit Jerron Brown downfield. He had a 32-yard catch in this game. Will Dissly, 17-yard catch down the field. Tyler Lockett, he hit him deep early on in this game for 28 yards. So he was making these deep throws while, instead, when David Johnson had his long catches, it was these short little passes over the middle, and he was just running for big yards because the play had essentially broken down around Kyler Murray, and he's able to hit Johnson for the dump off, and he just rumbles down the field. He finishes with 99 yards on the day, but it was just, all short passes.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of how the game works sometimes, but it's sort of like if you look at the Saints game, you'd think, man, we should have destroyed those guys. How did we lose when Russell Wilson, stats wise, just lit up the place and offensively looked like we dominated them? But again, it's not all about the numbers. You got to look at the whole game in context. And in that game, offensively we did dominate, but we made a lot of mistakes, had a lot of penalties, and we turned the ball over, and that itself was enough to short circuit any of the stats that we had going for us. And in this game here too, Arizona had a little bit of the same stuff that it felt like we were having the first couple of games, where a lot of, those 2 missed field goals, while they're not huge points, that's 6 points right there. And that becomes, instead of a point where they close the gap from 20 to 10, that could be 20 to 16, where it's 1-score game takes the lead. That's a big difference versus 10 points where it's 2-score game. So, it does come down to those little things, like making your field goals and just those little execution things. So they had very similar stat numbers, but like you said, the way they threw it, Russell, the passes he was making, there was that one particular one, I think it was the Lockett one, going right to left, where Wilson put it right over the defender's outreached hand.
Yeah, just over the fingertips of him.
Over the fingertips, and just to the, where only Lockett could catch it. And, like they always say, there's no defense for a perfect throw. And that was pretty perfect, because if we'd thrown any less, it would have been tipped or maybe intercepted by the defender any deeper. And it's probably, the defender having a chance to knock it down. Instead, it's right between the two. And that's the kind of throw where I don't remember Murray making that kind of pinpoint accurate throw. But, Russell Wilson's the kind of guy who he makes those throws on a regular basis, and it was great to see it happen in a win. So you look at the numbers, go, fantasy wise, he didn't do all that great, but as a guy to make this formula work, it was just the performance we needed. That's
the win and got the team up with a nice drive right before the end of the half. They're able to drive down the field again. They get shut down inside the red zone, but they're able to kick a short field goal, and they go up 20-3 going into halftime. Talking to Norb Cowiele from NorbCam, and we're getting into this 27-10 victory over the Arizona Cardinals. I want to talk a little bit about the second half, Norb, and there's not quite as much to talk about in the second half because, gosh, the third quarter, it was like they were going back and forth. There wasn't much progress down the field. At least the defense was holding the Cardinals in this game. And I was starting to get worried, though, a little bit in the fourth quarter when Arizona was able to cut it close and make it 20-10.
Yeah, we got a little sloppy in the third quarter. We played, I think, penalty free in the first half, and then the second half kicked in, and we started getting the penalty bug kicking in a little bit, and that didn't help us in some of those drives. And so, it felt like the nice thing is when a stalemate in the third quarter is fine when you have the lead, and it was kind of the same thing with, I think in the Saints game, I think we needed to come back, and we went through that third quarter. I don't think we didn't dent the score, and it's great for the Saints. And this time it was great for us because it's okay to have a back and forth. No one kind of gets anywhere, because when you have the lead, a 17-point lead, it's a nice cushion to have versus when you're behind having to try to get, catch up. So I wasn't too worried there, but it would have been nice if they could have been a little bit more productive. But, the penalties started to rear itself again in that third quarter a little bit. And so, worked against Arizona, but against a team like the Rams, we've got to kind of keep the pedal to the metal and keep pushing ahead and not have these sort of setbacks to where we lose momentum. Otherwise, a team like the Rams would come back and, and take advantage of it. So a little bit, that's why it's not the perfect game, but it was good enough to win in this one. But it got a little concerning and kept the door open for the Cardinals to try to mount to come back. But unfortunately, they fell short. Yeah,
and talk about plays that maybe if things had gone a little bit differently Russell Wilson gets sacked for 8 yards where Terrell Suggs beats Dwayne Brown around the outside, causes the fumble. Fortunately, Fluker able to jump on the football, but gosh, if Arizona, able to make a play in that moment, then yeah, maybe things do change. Maybe they're able to climb back in it a little bit earlier and put Seattle on the ropes a bit. But credit to the defense for coming out on that next drive, getting the stop, and really holding off the Cardinals really until that fourth quarter.
I'm a little concerned, even on that first drive that the Cardinals had where they ended with a missed field goal. So on the scoreboard, it felt like there was no damage done. But I thought the Cardinals were moving too easily in that first drive. They were getting positive yardage, almost 5-6 yards a pop, and a couple of explosive plays as well. And I was like, man, where's the defense here? And fortunately, we got the stop, and when we needed to, and they missed the field goal. But that's a little concerning. It feels a lot like the defense can be very porous at times, where guys just they're breaking through, getting way too many yards and just not dominating at the line of scrimmage. I'd like to see them improve on that a little bit more, to where they're not getting so gashed. Where the offense is just rolling downhill on us, and it feels like it's been happening a lot in all these 4 games. So, it's a work in progress, but at least we're seeing some aspects that we've been missing, and mainly just seeing the pass rush come together. This game was great to see, but they got more work to do, and hopefully they can shore up that part of things, because it's not quite there yet, but maybe we'll see if they're enough to take on the Rams. The Rams are going to be a whole nother beast, and this Thursday night game, talk about an awesome matchup. 2 3-1 teams going at it, trying to stay atop the division. It's going to be great. We'll obviously have the home field advantage noise to try to rain down on the Rams here. But definitely some things to work on. It's always nice to get a win and also still realize you got things to work on. So
for sure.
I still feel like we're not playing our best football yet. We're playing our better football today, but we're certainly not to the point where you feel like we're hitting on all cylinders. It's just the car's starting to roll a little bit, but it's still a little bumpy ride. So,
well, it definitely feels like they're going to need to make the most of their offensive possessions, because you look over at the scoreboard on that Tampa Bay LA game, and the Rams, they put 40 points up on the board against the Bucs, and the Bucs able to put up 55 points. A big part of that was because Jared Goff turnovers in that game. I think he had 3 interceptions, and then he had a fumble at the end where Sue was able to pick it up and get the score to finish off the game. But it does, there's some history there now between the Seahawks and the Rams, and I would definitely like to see Seattle get the win, especially at home, and after going winless against them last year.
Well, and I think we all know that the road to the playoffs, if we want to have that feeling like the Super Bowl bound team is in our midst here, it's got to be the Rams. We've got to take at least win the home game against the Rams. Maybe we split, and that'll be a start, but it'd be great to get the win at home, because then we got to face them again later in the year down in LA, which of course we saw the Bucs just beat them at home, so it's not like they're invincible. But to Thursday night, prime time at home, you got to think that you don't get any better home field advantage than that. So if we can't take advantage of that situation, I don't know what better situation you could possibly ask for. So again, I just feel like as long as Seattle plays minimal mistake football, and continues to run the ball like they're doing, I feel like that's a formula they can ride to the end of the season. But they've got to execute and just, can't give up the big plays and just not turn the ball over. All those basic things that we all know about football. But we saw it today. We saw a nice closer to that version today. And if we can play like that a little more consistently, I think we've got a good chance. So
it felt like nearly the complete game. And they are going to need that complete game, I think, to get over the hump and get the win against the Rams coming up. Before we close out of here, Norb, game ball. Who are you giving the game ball to in this game?
I was just talking about that with somebody after the game. I would give it to Chris Carson, especially in light of what's happened with him the first 3 games. The talk of the fans, how fickle they can be. Everybody was like, "Bench Carson, he sucks," and I was like, look, this team is built around Carson being able to run the ball like he did last year. If you pull Carson out and give up on him now, you're basically giving up on what made your team make the playoffs last year. So I was not one to say, let's bench him and, we're done with him. It's like, okay, let's, give him a chance to work through this. And, I would have been devastated if he had a fourth game in a row with a fumble. But luckily, the team backed him up like they said they would. And Chris Carson, to me, showed up and was like the guy we got to know so well last year. He ran hard, broke 100 yards, which was great to see, running through tackles, getting first downs, making some nice moves, jumping over guys. I mean, all that stuff. When Carson's at his best, he's like watching a video game player, right? You got to hit the B button, a little spin move, a little jump action here. And that's Carson being Chris Carson. And you don't want to see the watered down version, and you can't see without him. You saw what happened when CJ Prosise ran between the tackles. He's knocked over like a bowling pin. So you need Chris Carson tearing it up in the middle. And that's why I feel like, given what he had to bounce back from mentally, with the whole fumbles and all that stuff, to see him have a game like this, and really a key part of why we won, I give the game ball to Chris Carson.
Yeah, no one sets the tone for the Seahawks offense quite like Chris Carson. I mean, Russell's a great player. Tyler Lockett, Pro Bowl talent, but for the physical type of presence that he offers on offense, there's really nobody else that gives you that. And he's 22 carries, 104 yards, averaging 4.7 yards per carry. He did well in the passing game too. 4 receptions, 41 yards. So over 10 yards per catch in the passing game too. He felt like he was picking up some big plays. There was one where he caught the ball on the outside, and gosh, I think he bowled through 2 or 3 guys to get the first down. So he was setting the tone for the Seahawks offense.
Well, ever since Marshawn Lynch retired the first time, we've been looking for that back to replace him. We thought maybe it was Thomas Rawls, and then he got hurt and it was never quite the same after that. And we've been, Kristen Michael and all these different guys, never quite find him. And then Chris Carson last year gave us that glimmer of hope that, maybe this is the guy, and I think he was as close as we've seen it to. But watching a game like today, when it comes to that tingly, exciting factor as a fan, when you watch a guy run and you get excited about how he runs, like a 5-yard run in and of itself is not exciting. But when a guy breaks through contact 1 yard in and then he runs for 4 more, that gets you super excited because of the running style. And to me, this is the closest thing we've had to a beast mode type runner since beast mode. And as long as he can stay healthy and keep holding on to the ball, I keep looking forward to more runs from him because they're fun to watch. I love the touchdowns of Will Dissly and long passes to Tyler Lockett, but I will take a 10-yard run where Chris Carson bowls over guys for 5 yards to get the first down. That is, to me, more rewarding as far as from a football standpoint. It's kind of old school. It's just, mano a mano, 2 guys going at it and him winning the battle. And in a game where the football has been dumbed down and softened up by so many rules to protect players, seeing a guy run through a guy like that, like going through a brick wall, is like old school. It's fun to see that there's still some hitting going on, especially from the running back, bringing the hit and not shying away from contact. So he's been great. Oh, and one last thing I got to mention, because it's a very subtle thing, but near the end when we were in that final drive that eventually led into the CJ Prosise touchdown, there was a play where I thought it just showed how smart Carson is too. It was a kind of a pitch or a run to the left, and he was clearly not going to make it. And he could have tried to bounce it outside and try to get 1 or 2 extra yards, but instead of going outside and going out of bounds and stopping the clock, he stopped, took the 1 yard loss, but in the process kept the clock running. And that's huge. That's just one of those things where you're just, by keeping the clock running, you're burning off another minute or so. Whereas if you stop the clock, that's just one more chance where maybe Arizona has a chance to get a play in there and have a little bit more clock to try to get a comeback. So I thought that was a very smart play. Even though he's going to lose yards statistically, it was a smart play for the team. So plays like that are also little things between the stat lines that you don't see. That is very indicative of a smart player that he is. So I thought that's a really understated play that he was very smart of him to do.
Yeah, smart play by Carson. It really did help lead them on that 8-minute drive. So by the time the Cardinals did get the ball back, well, one, they're down by 17 points, but with just over 2 minutes to go, there's no way they're coming back at that point. And yes, just the right You hear Pete Carroll talk about finishing the game, and by going on that 8-minute drive in the fourth quarter, that was the Seahawks finishing the game, and they did it behind Chris Carson.
Yeah, totally. He had a couple of plays where he got the first down on his own, running through guys. Like you mentioned of a pass play where he took it and I think on the left sideline ran through some guys to get the first down. That was definitely the finishing the game. And I said before they started, I said, this drive right here, if this is the coffin, we're holding the nail. Now they just got to pound it in. If they can pound it in, all they got to do is burn 5 minutes off the clock, and score or not, they can pretty much win the game. And they did more than that. They not only got 5 minutes off the clock, they got 8 minutes off the clock and scored the touchdown. So that was like 2 nails in the coffin. So they definitely brought that home. So that was just a great team, effort. Obviously, one man, Carson, can't do it by himself, but combination of the line doing their job, not getting holding penalties, Wilson being smart with the ball. He made a couple of and how about Luke Wilson? We can talk about the return of Luke.
Oh yeah, the return of Luke
coming back. Wilson to Wilson. It was fun to be able to yell that a couple times. And Luke actually, he made a very spectacular catch.
It was on that final drive. It was a third down play, third and 2. And Wilson connected to Luke Wilson, for 17 yards.
And that was not an easy catch. That was
in fact, the defender was called for illegal contact on that play.
Yeah, so I guess maybe in the end it didn't matter. I guess it would have still been a penalty, but
it would have been a 5-yard penalty for first down. But that was
heck, we'll take the 17 yards and the spectacular catch for Luke Wilson. So that was cool. Just a lot of people thinking, we just kind of picked him off the scrap heap. What's he really going to do? And it was great to see him get a couple of nice catches there. One for a first down conversion on a very important drive. So it's great to see the return of Luke Wilson and Techno Tuesday and short shorts and all that stuff. So he's just a fun guy to have on the team. So to see a guy who's not only just a fun teammate, but who, his roots were here during the heyday of the Seahawks. He was part of that team, the Super Bowl runs, and to see him back here again with his long flowing hair, doing all that stuff. It's great to have him back, and not just for a token teammate, but a guy who's actually still got something to offer. So I was excited to see Luke Wilson come back with a couple of catches, and a good one at that.
For sure. And Norb, I really want to thank you for coming on. If people want to check out your NorbCam videos, I'm sure everybody listening already knows where to go, but just as a reminder, let folks know where to go to find all the videos and find your work on YouTube.
Sure, Brandon. Yeah, you just really just Google NorbCam and you'll find me on social media. It's at NorbCam, and if you just go to YouTube and search up NorbCam, you'll find me there. So, yeah, I'd love for you guys, if you haven't watched my videos, come check them out. I post videos every week. I've been starting to do not just the reactions to the games, but I do now weekly game picks of all 32 teams, and I set them to a music video. So I don't do because everybody does game picks, but I do it a little bit differently. So
nobody does it quite like you. That's for sure.
I like to add a little musical fun to it. So it's a lot of fun for myself, as well as just to see how the picks turn out. But I was happy to be wrong about that Rams game. I had the Rams over the Bucks. So glad to be wrong.
It's always good to be wrong when the Rams. See, I usually try and hedge my bets. I'll pick the Rams to win. And then if they lose, it's like, okay, well, at least I have the joy and satisfaction of them losing, and it's okay if I lose on the pick.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a win. It's kind of a win-win, a lose-win, or however you want to call it.
Yeah,
but, yeah. Great results so far. So Thursday is going to be a great game. So yeah, you can watch my reactions in the stadium live on NorbCam. If you happen to be watching at home, you can tune in to my live stream from inside the stadium and get the reactions from inside the house. And you can see what it's like for all those crazy people and during the game inside the stadium. So it's
always fun to see the reactions of fans, to get the in-game commentary. Definitely check it out. NorbCam, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Anytime.